Hello students, how are you? I am Sanjeev Goswami with you, and today I am going to tell you about figures of speech. Figures of speech, dear ones, are very important in literature. In Hindi, you might have heard figures of speech as alankar. Now, the reason before using of figures of speech in literature. Dear ones, literature is written either to instruct people or to entertain people. Okay? Any poet, author, dramatist, or any fiction writer or story writer, when he tries to write his ideas, to compose his poems, he has two plans or aims. Either he wants to instruct people, to give people some thoughts, some views, some serious things about, he wants that all of us should be aware of or about. Or the writer wants to entertain people. And he wants to entertain people, he uses so many things to glorify his ideas. He uses so many tricks to make all of us happy with our smiling face. Okay? So, the function of poetry is to give pleasure. When the composers, the poets decide to compose poems, the basic concept before their composition is to make people joyous, to make people happy. So this is the basic concept about using figures of speech. Got it? The function of poetry is to give pleasure, to entertain, to make people smile, to create some emotions in the readers, in the minds of readers, heart of readers. Therefore, poets use figures of speech to glorify their ideas. Without using figures of speech, poets sometimes find themselves helpless to conceive those ideas in that manner which they want. Therefore, they decide to use figures of speech, the ornaments of literature, the gems of literature, by using some words in some magical terms or types, so that it make a good impression, a better impression in the minds of readers. Okay? Now, I am going to tell you about the very first figure of speech, which is simile. It is the very first figure of speech, simile. And this is very popular figure of speech. The definition of the figure of speech, simile. A simile is the comparison between two different objects or ideas. The words such as like, so, as dash dash, so, even as are used in simile for comparison. Okay, so simile is the comparison of two different ideas, two different planes, or two different objects. And when we use the comparison, we need some words like so, as, so, or even as. Okay, now we have a very interesting example. Life is like a dream. A very interesting example. Life is like a dream. So, the word like, the uses of like makes the use of simile in this line. Got it? One more very important example. The quality of mercy is not strange. I hope that you remember this line, the very famous, the beginning of the Mercy, the great poem of William Shakespeare from The Merchant of Venice. In the second line, it dropped as the gentle rain from heaven. The quality of mercy is not strained. It dropped as the gentle rain from heaven. So by using the word as, the great poet William Shakespeare used the figure of speech simile in this line and makes the impact better and greater. Now the second figures of speech, it is a metaphor. Okay? A metaphor is a direct simile. This is the definition of metaphor. Got it? A metaphor is a direct simile, same as simile in which the comparison of two different thoughts, ideas, objects. But the difference is the words such as like or so are not used in metaphor. So simile and metaphor, these both are just the same, except one difference, that in simile we use the words like, so, even as. Okay? But in metaphor we don't use like these words. Now we have very interesting example, dear ones, and this is love is life. Very short example, very interesting example, and you will like it. Okay? As I think so. Love is life. The same example can be used in simile. Love is like a life. But in metaphor, love is life. We have one more very interesting example. This is love is the spice of life. In this example, we can see that if we use like love is like the spice of life, then it is a simile, because we don't use words like, so, as, etc. Therefore, this is a typical example of metaphor. Dear ones, now I feel that you might have understood about both figures of speech, simile and metaphor, and their difference as well as their sameness. Okay? Now, the next figures of speech is personification. Okay? You can guess the definition by the use of personification, which is made of person. Okay? Now the definition. In this figure of speech, non-living things, ideas or objects are presented as if they were living. So this figures of speech is very, meaningful, important and specific, what I personally feel. So the definition, in this figure of speech, non-living things. Got it? Non-living things, non-living ideas or objects are presented as if they were living. Okay? Or we can say that the figure of speech, personification, personifies the ideas. Or better we can say that the figure of speech, personification, personifies the non-living ideas or dead objects. Things which are not living, things which are dead, but they are presented as if they are living. Okay? Now, the example. Death lays his icy hands on kings. Death lays his icy hands on kings. You know that death is non-living thing. How could death touch someone with his hands? Because it doesn't exist with its body. So it's a non-living object, but the sentence presents death as it is living. Okay? So by seeing about hands, I remember very interesting example to share with you, dear students. Please enjoy this. You might have heard so many times in your life watching any movie, कानून के हाथ बहुत लंबे होते हैं. The same thing happens here. The कानून, the law is non-living thing, but the script writer, the dialogue writer uses this line, and this line shows the use of personification in which the law is personified as it is a living thing. Okay? Now we have one more very interesting example. Authority forgets a dying king. It is also a very interesting example as well as very important example for the board examination especially. Authority forgets a dying king. It is a very old saying that a king is till he is alive. When a king dies, nobody respects him. Even the authority he possesses forgets him. Or we can say the difference between a living king or dead king is that a living king has all the power, all the authority, all the positions, all the respect and regards. As he dies or he is dying, all his authority, all his powers have been dying with the king. So by these two very interesting examples, all of you dear ones, you can better understand about the very interesting figure of speech, personification, in which dead things or non-living things are personified. Okay? Now, the next figure of speech, which is oxymoron. In this figure of speech, there is a union of two opposite ideas, things, or objects. Okay? So oxymoron is the blending of two different objects, a mixture of two just opposite ideas, thoughts, or objects. We have some very interesting examples, dear ones. The very first, love is a sweet poison. Love is very sweet, but it is also a poison which kills slowly, very, very slowly. So love is a sweet poison. In this example, we can see that love is sweet as well as it's poisonous. So this is the example of oxymoron in which we have two different, just opposite ideas together. Okay? Now the next example is having nothing, he had all. Perhaps you remember about this line. This is a great line of Sir Henry Wotton about the poem Character of a Happy Life, the very first poem of your syllabus. And this is the last line of that very first poem of your syllabus, in which the central idea, the central essence of the poem, that the really happy man, the character of a happy life, in spite of having nothing, he has everything. So, in this example, we can see two just opposite things, having nothing, having everything. So, this is the example of oxymoron. Now, we have one more very interesting figure of speech, which is hyperbole. Hyperbole. In this figure of speech, things are presented bigger or less than they really are. So, hyperbole is a very interesting figure of speech in which things represent either very big or bigger than they really are, or very small than they really are. So, we have a very interesting example, dear ones. The very first example. Belinda smiled, all the world was gay. It's a very classic line, dear students. This line is from a very famous book, The Rape of the Lock. And in that book, the poet, who is also supposed to be one of the finest poets of English literature, Mr. Alexander Pope, he used this line to glorify the beauty of Belinda, the heroine of that book. As she got up in the morning, she came out, and as she smiled, the whole world was, full of joy. So by using this figure of speech, the hyperbole, the poet tries to glorify the beauty of sweet Belinda. Okay? Now we have another example of hyperbole. Thousands of Now, in the next figure of speech, apostrophe. In this figure of speech, non-living things, objects, or ideas. In this figure of speech, non-living things, non-living objects or ideas are addressed by the speaker as if they were present there. So we can say that the figure of speech apostrophe is quite same as personification, but the difference is that in personification the non-living things, ideas or objects or thoughts are presented as they are living, But in this figure of speech, the non-living things, objects or ideas are addressed by the speaker. That, who are you? This is that. Who is this? Now it is address type. Or we can say that the figure of speech, apostrophe, make the non-living things or absent things closer than personification. Okay? We have two very interesting examples, dear students, to make you understand about apostrophe. The first one. O Caesar, thou art mighty yet. It is a very famous line of the great drama of William Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, in which Brutus, the friend of Caesar, as well as the very important part of the conspirators who had murdered Julius Caesar, in the end, when he saw the soul of Julius Caesar. So, we have come to the last figure of speech, which is onomatopoeia. In this figure of speech, the words echo the sound or the sense. So it is about the sense of sound. Sometimes the writers, the poets, dramatists uses the sound, the voice, or those words which are used for the sound, for the voice. We have a very interesting example. The snake is hissing. Okay? When the poet or the story writer uses the snake is hissing, it horrifies the mind of the readers. So for that, the writers use these terms, use these figures of speech to create some emotions, some horror, some thrill, excitement by using the figure of speech onomatopoeia. We can use one more example to understand. The bird is chirping on the roof. The bird is chirping on the roof. So it is about the chirping of the birds, chattering, twittering, hissing, barking. Okay? So all these sounds are used in the figure of speech onomatopoeia. So dear students, in this video today, you all must have learnt about figures of speech in English literature. We have 7 very, very interesting and important figures of speech, starting with simile. Okay? Simile is the name of comparison between two different objects or ideas by using words like, as, so. Okay? The second is metaphor. Once again, the metaphor is a name of comparison. It is a direct simile without using any words. Then we have very interesting and important figure of speech, which is personification. Then we have one more interesting and important figure of speech, which is apostrophe. Then we have oxymoron, about the blending of two different ideas. Apostrophe is about the address of non-living or dead things. Then we have hyperbole. Hyperbole, you might have liked it so much because it has some special effect about glorifying the ideas. Then we have the last, onomatopoeia, which is about the sound effect. Dear students, I hope that you all have enjoyed this class and you have certainly liked all this. Thank you very much. Bye.